Possibly the first Madden where I'm not convinced my players know that they're on a football field half the time. We are going over numerous issues inside of this game. Now, obviously, I'm going to try to paint a lot of these in, a glass half full type of look. It's very easy to be negative. I prefer to try my best to be positive. And right now, I'm in a good mood. So we're going to talk about this stuff in a positive way. But there's a lot of issues in this game that are very, very frustrating. That, in my opinion, these aren't even luxury things I want to talk about. These are things that legitimately can't happen. And so what I meant by players not knowing they're on a football field is there's something in this game where the ball just hits your wide receivers in the face. And this seems to be an issue that, in my opinion, really can't happen in a football video game, regardless if it's simulation, arcade, or competitive. The ball being thrown at a wide receiver and then punching him in the face with the ball for only to harmlessly fall on the ground or get tipped up for an interception is something that really can't happen. Really just flat out. There's no way for me to beat around the bush with that. These are, and the thing is, it happens to me a lot in MUT. It happens in every game mode, but it happens a lot in MUT. And these are Hall of Fame wide receivers, 99 everywhere, getting hit in the face with the pigskin. Now, what I believe this to actually be an issue of is that I think there's something wrong in the game where when you add Gunslinger and it speeds up the arm motion, right? And then you add pass lead elite or set feet lead, which speeds up the ball velocity, the ball travels too fast for the receivers to be able to actually react to the ball in certain spots in any given route or any pass lead or something like that. There's something wrong with that in the game from like a mechanic standpoint. I don't know what it is, but it just can't happen. Like, seriously, the ball hit. If you watch any of my videos, if you play the game really, especially if you play MUT with Gunslinger and pass lead elite, the ball will hit you, and it just can't happen, right? I think that's a day one fundamental thing. It's never really been an issue in Maddens before. I really don't know why it's now an issue. I've never really seen it like that, at least at the clip that happens now. I've definitely had the ball hit me before. But, it'll happen if you pass the ball, especially you throw drags and stuff, and my phone almost just fell in my pocket. It'll happen to you at least once a game, if not more, which, literally just cannot happen. That's one of the biggest things that's came up in the past few months in the game. Has to go away. Has to. It's something wrong inside the game's actual engine, coding, mechanics, whatever it is. They have to fix it coming up next year. Next thing we got to talk about offensive line logic and really on both sides of running the ball and passing the ball. First and foremost, when it comes to running the ball, I've never seen a game do such a poor job at both getting to the second level in run blocking, but then also do such an overwhelmingly good job at getting to the second level that they allow the first level to just come totally free. And what I mean by that literally is if you play any of the meta defenses in this game and you try running really any run, well, the large majority of runs in this game, you will see frequently slot corners and defensive ends just getting unblocked and coming free and hitting you in the backfield. It literally just, I don't know how this happens. Like this is probably the worst year it's been when it's come to it. I'm not a fan of the run game in Madden ever. I don't think it's great for the skill gap, whatever you want to consider, whatever skill gap is in the game. I don't think it's great, but I shouldn't be calling inside zones and against numerous different defenses have the defensive end come free and stick me in the backfield. And that is something that happens frequently. The only way you can really run the ball in this game consistently at a average clip is having an AKA X factor on your running back, which is stupid. That is dumb. I don't like the run game, but at least in my opinion, that is not very good for the game. It's very fluky. It's very inconsistent. All that stuff is just nasty. Offensive line blocking in terms of the pass game, actually, hear me out, is not that bad. For what we don't have disengages really happening at a high clip this year. We don't have DNs coming free very often. We don't have looping blitzes coming free very often at all. The biggest issue with O-line pass logic is actually just the same issue they always have, which I believe this is just something that will never really change, is that they can't block slot corners coming in. And really, really the only blitz that comes in with the slot corners is DB Fire 2 or is Spinner at $1, which honestly, the offensive line pass logic, besides that blitz, it's not that bad. And I know some people are immediately going to get kind of upset about that. I see a lot of people get upset about like pass logic or like pass blocking and blitz pickups, and they'll be blitzing 6 people and you're blocking 5, and it's like, what do you want? Like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, that's stupid. My rule always for Madden that I want to see is that if I block 6 people, I should be able to block a 5-man blitz. If they're sending 6, I should be able to block 7 and block it. Right? Simple as that. This year, that dollar blitz sometimes will come in on 7 even, which is very, very, very annoying. But really, as a whole, I don't think the O-line logic is terrible in the pass game. I really don't. I think they did a good job with it, except for the slot corner blitzes. And even that, you can work around at a fairly decent clip until you get into the high ranks of playing Madden players. That stuff becomes really, really good. But I think I really don't know if they did a terrible job, but the slot corner stuff is bad. I really hope to see, again, another game next year where we don't have disengages and stuff like that. We've had many years where there's disengages, nanos up the middle, whatever, crossfire loop blitzes. Really, none of that stuff's OP in this game. The biggest thing was the loop blitz actually earlier this year. That came from the contains, right? That would have, I guess, a DN come totally free. But they've patched that. They've fixed that, and I don't mind their fix for it. So I have no issues with that, really. Talk about one of the bigger metas throughout this year was agging. There is a insane, hilarious issue in this game where if you can time a throw correctly, and really don't even need to time it correctly always, you can ag something, and the DB just doesn't react and animate on the wide receiver at all. I don't know how they need to balance it, because when you add in more animations in the game, people say we need less animations. And right now, when I watch my defensive back get somebody's cock and balls in his mouth on a 5-yard, when they high ball a streak after 5 yards, I say I really need him to animate on that. The way ags are in this game are miserable. They're really bad. And they've been bad all year. They're still bad in regs. The only reason they're not that bad in MUT anymore is literally just because we have 50 different KOs on every corner, and so we're able just to knock it out, and they do animate a little bit better with abilities, it feels like. But the way ags were throughout the majority of this year, and they still are, is really something that we can't be having in the comp game mode. I don't hate the ags as much that, like, literally, like, and I don't like them, but like, where they actually get a 2-man animation and he just ags the corner, and that corner actually animates on him. That's not the worst thing ever. But seeing a lot of ags where you just go up, catch the ball, and the corner just kind of stands there like an idiot and does nothing, and then lets you get rack after that, is like, it's really, really, really bad for the game. I think it's really, really stupid. And it hasn't really been an issue before. I've never really seen it as bad as it is in this game. Would like to see that definitely get changed. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's great for the game. I think it encourages really low skill gap passing. There's not many reads that go into agging. You just ag, right? So love to see that get taken out of the game. It needs to get taken out of the game bad. The next thing I want to go to is I don't know if there's ever been a worse user in this game. You literally can't do anything with your user in Madden 23. Your user defender is what I'm referring to. No matter if you're on a safety, a linebacker, which those don't work, a corner, whatever. The user in Madden 23 is hilariously awful. It is bad. And it just leads to, that's one of the things that you have full control over as a defender, right? There's 11 players on the field at any given time on each side of the ball. You only control one. When you control that one defender and you don't even get to make any impact in the play because the users get outran by everybody. They can't, people complain about the users used to be able to defend 3-4 routes at the same time, which was never the case, by the way, ever. People used to complain about that. Now you can't defend one route if you want to half the time. Like, seriously, you can't. If you do one mistake with your joystick, he'll outrun you. Even if you're step for step, if you have the same speed, he will outrun you. That is bad for the game. It'll always be bad for the game. Now, do I think it'll ever go back to how it was on old gen? No. And while personally I would not mind that, I understand why a lot of people don't love how old Gen was, where the user used to be able to fly back and forth across the field, and passing the ball was hard against that, which it should be hard. But I mean, we took a step back from Madden 22 user, which wasn't good. We already said Madden 22. I'm sure I talked about this in a similar video where the user needs to get better, and we've taken a huge step back this year. A big reason for that is that if you bump a wide receiver half the time, your user is on the negative end of that interaction where he gets sent 5 yards behind him on the route, which kind of goes into another point that I have of the amount of like bumping that happens between players in this game is awful. I don't know if I've seen it. You just have defenders bumping into each other constantly, and you don't have much control over that. A big thing that you see all the time is let's take a look at a formation like gun bunch, okay? And if you're running man coverage against gun bunch, right? Let's say you're running press man against gun bunch, and the inside wide receiver goes on a flat breaking route, right? He just goes immediately to the flat, and the other two wide receivers go inside. It's going to immediately be a pick. It won't even be a pick. They don't interact like that. It's just it is, but it isn't. It's not consistent at all. But the issue is that if that's going to be in the game as a pick play, if that's how anybody wants to kind of defend the bumping in cornerbacks. Okay, in football they have coverages. They have rules to combat picks, right? An easy one against bunch is banjo. Is something called banjo, where the outside corner takes first outbreaking route. The middle defender takes the first vertical stem. Inside takes the first inside stem. They don't have that in Madden, so what we get is a ton of bumping inside of man coverage, which I don't think man coverage is great for the game from a competitive standpoint. But regardless, how it's being played can't happen. It's just insane bumping. And it results in sometimes a streak is covered, sometimes a streak is a one-play touchdown, and you have no idea which. It adds randomness and fluke to the game, and I'm always a huge advocate of anti-fluke, anti-RNG, random number generator, anything that creates uncertainty. If I give you a situation, I should know what's going to happen in that situation. If I give you all the variables and everything, and instead in this game, I can tell you all that, and sometimes that route's going to be wide open. Sometimes that route's going to be bagged. It's bad, and a big reason is because the huge amount of bumping that takes place. And I believe, again, it's a next-gen thing with how the mechanics is in the game, the physics, whatever, the engine. And then also, it's gotten worse from next-gen to next-gen. This is the third next-gen game we're on, right? Madden 21 was partly next-gen. 22 was next-gen. 23 was next-gen. 24, like this really was the game that they were supposed to have things kind of locked in from a engine standpoint, right? Whatever you want, I don't know what the right word is. And they have not. Movement does not look fluid, and we see that a lot. That's a big reason that the going into my next thing with why zone logic and zone defenders, and really this is a big issue with zone and users as well, but zones is that the way players move, they're so slow to kind of accelerate and kind of have that explosion that zones are terrible because they're just backpedal, they're kind of casual. And when the ball's thrown, they literally can't react fast enough. And that goes hand in hand with, they didn't react that bad at the beginning of the year, but now that there's gunslinger and pass lead elite and set feet lead, they react so much slower now. And in comparison to how fast the ball gets there, it makes zone almost unusable unless you have 50 different KOs on them, which is pretty much what you have to do now to be able to get any sort of stop. And honestly, you have to get acrobat on them as well to be able to do anything, to have any sort of... Most of the time when you throw a pick against zone, you know that ball's a pick as soon as you hit the button, because if the defender's not in position, he's not going to make the play. It's as simple as that. And we need to see zone coverage get a little bit better. My players need to react a little bit better. It's almost as if they don't know they're on a football field and that they can be attacked in a zone coverage. It's very, very, very frustrating. Moving on, there's this weird thing that recently started happening after I think the last couple of patches, one of them. And on Xbox, there's not PlayStation, but on Xbox, there's just random lag spikes in the game. And it's reported by everybody. It's literally I'll be in head-to-head games, and when the lag spike happens to me, I'm talking to the other guy, and it happens to them too. It's literally it's a weird issue in the game because almost every Xbox player experiences this now. And with the lag issues, there's also just a hilariously awful thing with the menus. I don't know what the issue is where menus just are slower than they used to be still. This seems like a thing that menus should consistently be getting faster, I feel like, or at the very least, just not taking a step backwards. I don't know how menu guys do. I'm all gameplay here. All I care about is gameplay. The menus literally, but when I try to build my MUT team or do a set or anything, the menu moves so slow. It's infuriating. I don't know what the deal is inside of MUT. I don't know if it's like that so much in franchise, but inside of MUT, it's awful. It's really, really, really bad. Linebackers are still useless is the next thing I kind of want to talk about. And just now, inside of Ultimate Team, they've just now started to become halfway usable because we're at end game where everyone gets 99 speed, 99 everything else, and you can get 0 AP lurker. But just from the idea that for a linebacker, they don't add anything in the run game. As of right now, they still don't. And then at the linebacker, for him to animate like a safety, you had to put 1 AP at least on him for the entire year until just now. So already you're at a huge disadvantage. Linebackers, super unusable. Would like to see them go back to how they were in, I believe, Madden 19, or even how they were in Madden 20, which they weren't amazing, but they were better than they are now. Linebackers are useless, and there's no reason to use them in the run game either. They don't do that much better of a job than safeties do for the overwhelming majority of runs and all that stuff. But yeah, the next thing really, really fast, MUT. Felt like this is the biggest pay-to-play year ever. Outside of the glitches, there's really a pack strike to begin this year. So I'm not going to go into a bunch of justification for it. It pretty much tells you everything you need to know. Need rewards and all that stuff back. I'm not super smart when it comes to MUT, so I'm not going to pretend I am. But this year, really bad in terms of pay-to-play. But yeah, that's just a little short list kind of things that I feel like the game needs to improve on. Needs to fix for this upcoming Madden 24 coming out in what we're 3 months away, about 2 months away from beta or so, a month and a half. I don't know what it is. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next one. Look, if you're tired of losing games to John Madden Football, my website civil.gg will give you the tools you need to start winning more games immediately. Between having the best ebooks online on both offense and defense, tips that are known by only the top 1% of Madden players, and a community of people just like yourself who are also trying to get better, code PREMIUM will get you 25% off, and you'll get instant access to literally everything. It's linked in the top description. I've been playing professional Madden for the past 4 or 5 years now. I've helped thousands of Madden players win more games, and I can help you too. Again, link top of the description. I'll see you inside.